Hey everyone, we're still on a summer break, but we'll be back soon. John and Shannon had a trip out east, and Amanda and I actually went to Maine. We'll touch more on our trips when we get back, but in the meantime, we're revisiting an episode on the Black-capped Chickadee, the tiny bird with an incredible memory, fearless personality, and incredible intelligence. It's interesting going back and revisiting older episodes. You'll hear Shannon talk about how everyone should get their hearing checked. This episode is before Shannon had her cochlear implant and was completely deaf in one ear. If you've listened to our episodes in the past year, you've heard the journey that she's been on and was finally able to get a cochlear implant earlier this year. I hope her PSA helps everyone realize how important it is to get your hearing checked and to do so quickly if you have anything sudden to happen to you. Okay, back to birds though. And let's grab our binoculars and let's get into it. All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we're talking about the black-capped chickadee. So I feel like this is a bird we probably wanted to talk about for a long time. It's been on the list. Mm-hmm. Shannon, you brought it up, and I couldn't believe we hadn't talked about it yet. So where do we want to start with the black-capped chickadee? It's one of the cutest little birds, I feel like. I think everyone agrees on that, right?
in just about every aspect of what it does, too.
Yeah.
And so it's an iconic North American bird.
Yeah.
And it's something you hear and see.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Which when you're learning bird songs, well, at least for me, if I see the beaking, singing, it helps me remember the song. And so it's something you can hear, and then you can be confused when you're first bird watching. But then you'll see the bird making the sound, and then it goes into your brain, I think, in a different way.
Yeah, should I play the song real quick? I've got it queued up. So this is not the chick-a-dee-dee-dee song. This is just their song.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that song.
I love that song. It's totally nostalgic.
Yeah. I feel like I know we talked a lot about the Morning Dove song and how that's one of those. I know, Shannon, you don't love that, but I feel like the Chickadee song and the Morning Dove are two of the ones that I like, just brings me back to my childhood. I don't know why.
Yes. No, I agree.
Well, not my childhood, because those birds didn't exist in my childhood.
Wait, the Chickadee isn't up in British Columbia?
Different kinds of chickadees.
You got black-capped chickadees there in Trail.
Yeah, but I didn't pay attention to them then. That's not what we had on Vancouver Island.
That's right.
So they're one of the most they have like almost a language, right? The way that they communicate, they're just like can communicate danger to other birds and things like that. Maybe a language isn't the right word.
Well, no, I think they've certainly got multiple ways of doing that. I don't know that there aren't a lot of other birds that do that too, but okay. At the same time, chickadees are they're kind of approachable. So they've been well studied, and again, they're just, like you said, the word cute just absolutely applies to them. With the one interesting thing is when you say you catch one in a mist net, if you're banding, they're tough little birds.
Oh.
Certainly one of the things about their distribution is that they're, all across basically the higher latitudes of North America, going all the way up into Alaska and basically the tree line. And so they don't migrate. And so to any major extent. And so they're incredibly adapted, given that small size, to live in some really, really cold areas.
Yeah.
Parts of the year.
That's what I find so amazing. You think of big things like, polar bears living in these Arctic environments, but a chickadee's tiny little bird. So it obviously it has a whole bunch of adaptations to let it survive in such cold climates, because it doesn't migrate. It might move around, and there are eruptions that we can talk about, but it does not migrate. So it is in for the long haul at those temperatures. So, and And being at those temperatures it takes a lot more oxygen to be there. So it changes the way it breathes. It breathes deeply to get more air in its lungs, and it changes the amount of oxygen it can get out of the air as part of their survival mechanism for being at that cold. It also goes into like a torpor state at night where it lowers its body temperature, so it doesn't use energy in the same way. Hummingbirds do. There are a few birds that do that. But, you don't think of hummingbirds living year-round in a place that cold.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so they're kind of mighty. And actually, at the feeder, they're dominant.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They're you think they're going to be shy and retiring because of how cute they are and what they sound like. But they'll push much bigger birds out than you'd think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think one of the things I really like about them, having grown up around here, is that you do see them year round. Like they're here all winter, and it's like, to Shannon's point, it's because they're adapted to the cold. I was wondering, besides chickadees, and I was trying to think of birds you see in the winter around here, besides chickadees and northern cardinals, what other ones are you guaranteed to see around here?
I mean, the other small bird I think of that's year-round is different in the sense that a number of parts of the population migrate is American goldfinch.
Oh, okay.
And they don't go anywhere near as far north as chickadees do, but they can be around here, and so you can see them when it's minus 30 with the wind chill, and
Oh, wow.
they're still around making a living, and they survive those periods of time. So again, I mean, chickadees belong to this family Paradae, which is has a lot of diversity in it, and they all are kind of knockoffs on this little body plan that Black-capped Chickadee has, where they've got a little stout bill that they use in a bunch of different ways to get insects and to break seeds, and then they do things like they'll cache food when things are good, so that when the weather gets bad and gets cold and they can't find as much, that they've got places to go back to look for stuff. So it's a really successful group. They're all the way across the basically the northern hemisphere. So there are a lot of species, even more species in Asia and Europe than there are here in the U.S. and Canada.
I read that when they cache, that they'll leave like thousands of different caches all over, and that they have something with their brain can memorize. It's like where everything is. Is that? I mean, is that more significant than like a blue jay caching? Or I mean,
I think
Yeah.
so, because the studies that have been done on their brains, their hippocampus, there's been chickadees are again one of the most studied groups of birds. So there have been long-term behavioral sites for decades and decades that people have documented what chickadees do. So there's a lot of data on what they do, which is really fun. But so they cache in right before winter. They cache, and apparently what they have is a big hippocampus, and that big hippocampus has to do with spatial memory and the transition between short-term and long-term memory. So they've got more neurons, bigger capacity to have spatial awareness, to remember, and then to remember where they put their seeds. And I suppose if you put enough of them away, you'll find one eventually. But they find their own seeds. They don't find other birds' seeds, apparently. So, another adaptation for being so cold is you got to find food. And if you're good at memorizing where you've put the little pieces of food that you've buried all over the place, then I guess it helps you survive throughout the winter. Their brains, their hippocampus, the volume increases when they're caching. So right before they start caching, their brain actually changes.
oh wow,
Parts of their brain change size.
I love the fact that people figured that out with these birds, because it's one of these things that highlights the kinds of things that come up across nature, where certain animals are doing things that you'd think wouldn't be possible, such as a seasonal change in your neuron conformation in your brain to allow you to do this. And so, it really illustrates just the plasticity across animal life with respect to those kinds of things. Now, at the same time, I was just going to say, I'm still, caching still strikes me as somewhat odd in the sense that when I watch things like white-breasted nuthatches and red-breasted nuthatches cache in our yard, I'm always thinking that's just opportunities for the chickadees and the blue jays to come along and find your cache and eat it. What percentage of your cache do you actually successfully hide from everything in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
But one of the reasons we know it's likely adaptation for cold is that the colder the environment, the bigger their brain gets. The bigger their hippocampus gets, not their brain, but the bigger that part of their brain gets. So there's, substantial amounts of evidence for that being a critical aspect of how they make a living. So these cute birds have really cool things under their hoods too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I saw, so they also allow brain neurons with old information to die or something like that. So is it like they out with the old and with the new as they're caching, they can permanently delete memories or something?
That's
Maybe
what
you
it
have to
sounds
wipe
like.
the slate.
Yeah.
You have to wipe the slate clean going into every winter, so that you can devote the neurons to where things currently are. So they clearly don't live in the past, not the long past, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I could do that with something
I
that
know.
embarrassed me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Some memory of I don't know, as a kid when I did something dumb.
Right.
Those are the things that are indelibly put in my brain that are never, they never go away. My embarrassments are highlighted all the time in my own brain. Even things people don't even remember.
And of course, the proof in all that is that, they're really successful. They're common birds across basically all of their range. And so, I guess forgetting that stuff, good. It's a little different when you only live 2.5 years on average or something.
Right.
True. Some of them live older though, right? Are they? I think I saw that.
The oldest one, I think, is 12 and a half years.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
There was this YouTube account that we found, this girl called Leslie the Bird Nerd, and she had a 10-minute video that we watched that was really entertaining. But she had a time lapse inside of a nest box of them building out the nest that was really cool. And they started with wood chips in it, but they showed the chickadees bringing in all this moss in, and then I think rabbit fur. And then it was this time lapse of watching it form everything out and then lay the eggs. It was really cool to watch. I don't think I've seen,
so cute.
I'm sure you guys have seen videos of stuff like that, but it was the first time I saw that much detail in nest building. And I don't know, Amanda and I watched it this morning and thought it was really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like as much as people have sort of know that happens, there hasn't been a lot of detailed research into how birds build nests and how stereotyped it is and why. So what's the benefit of doing exactly the kinds of things that you were just talking about with these steps of starting with sticks and then bringing in moss? And the obvious thing is it provides an additional layer to protect the eggs from moisture and temperature and things. But again, I think that's a really interesting area where people just haven't spent enough time looking at things in general in a lot of situations.
It's hard to find bird nests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then if you want to figure out what they're doing, you have to watch them for hours a day for days. Or, you'll go to the bathroom and you'll miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finding bird nests and it takes a special skill, I think, to get good at finding bird nests, which is why some people I got good at finding one species nest after failing for an entire week. But that didn't mean I saw any other bird nests. I just got good at finding fox sparrow nests. But I didn't see any other nesting nests of any other birds in the environment. So, how much work do you have to do to be good at finding the nests of multiple species? It's still really a lot of work.
Where would you find a chickadee nest? Like this was in a nest box, but if it were making a nest out, would it be in the cavity of a tree or something? Or
So yes, and a lot of times they like birches in a lot of the distribution, but they'll just find a space, that a kind of like a broken off branch that they can get into, or an old nest hole of a woodpecker, and modify that to what they want. One of the things that I find them really fascinating about them is that clutch size is 6 to 8.
Oh, wow.
Which is I mean, for a bird that size, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And the female does all the incubation, so I don't even know how you could possibly get a brood patch of a chickadee over that many eggs, and yet, again, it's a very successful bird.
Yeah.
they must have tiny little eggs, right? Like, are they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're small, but they're small, and yet at the same time, one of the things about egg shape is that they take up space, right? They're this oval and so you get 8 of them, and it's hard to arrange those 8 in a way that you could literally get your brood patch over the top of them, it seems to me.
We were talking a little. Oh, go ahead, Shannon.
We have 742 Atrocapulus in our collections, and that's cataloged. I don't even want to think about how many are in the freezer not cataloged. But and for the genus as a whole, the genus Paris, so the old thing before it was all divided up, we have 4,313.
Wow.
Oh my
So we
gosh.
have, quite a few of these birds spread throughout the years.
But again, I'd emphasize that while that seems like a lot, you look at the range of this bird going from basically parts of Utah and all the way across into Illinois and to the East Coast, and then you go all the way up to Alaska. There are 7 described subspecies which aren't really strongly different from one another in the grand scheme of things. But even those 700 would be down to a set of birds from the Illinois area, set of birds from other parts, and then none from from a lot of areas of that distribution.
Do you get a lot in window kills, or are
That's what I was wondering.
Are non-migratory birds not as likely to fly into windows? Is there any evidence of that? Or
yes, non-migratory birds are somewhat less likely, and then the other thing is mortality is related to body size, and so if you have a non-migratory big bird that's moving around a little bit, they're going to occasionally hit windows, and that's probably not going to be good. Chickadees probably would bounce off windows most of the time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, they can't dodge West Nile virus because in the late 90s, when West Nile started coming through here, they took a tremendous decline in their population size, which has not, and it was patchy, I suppose. It was very patchy. Not every population experienced the same declines, but certainly the ones in Evanston experienced really dramatic declines in populations that even now, 25 years later, they're not recovered to the same degree, and there's been lots of patchiness in how they've recovered. So even a bird that's not thought of as any concern for conservation, you could see, that's one of the things that was highlighted to me, is that you could see just how much damage, even to a common bird, that some kind of novel virus can do, right? It could wipe out even an extremely common bird that is vulnerable to it. So
how would they contract West Nile? Was it from eating mosquitoes, or how does?
Probably getting, if you're
bit by them.
getting
bit by it.
bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the mosquito that carries West Nile is a introduced mosquito, and so they're much more common in urban areas than they are in the countryside. And so I think one good thing, so Shannon was mentioning the patchiness, is that was also to the chickadee's advantage in the sense that there were presumably populations in the outlying areas that as populations declined in the urban areas that were hit hard by West Nile, there was the potential to have individuals recolonize from adjacent areas. But those are questions where it's I still think, again, there has to be a lot more research and monitoring done to understand how that all is working.
Although the research and monitoring that has been done brought some really dramatic aspects of their behavior out. So like most passerines, they're socially monogamous, but not biologically monogamous. There's lots of cheating. There are extra pair copulations that happen again. This is common. But one of the things their accounts tell you about is just their interactions with house wrens. Did you guys read about that?
No.
That they compete with house wrens for nest sites, but the house wrens, these other little cute birds that sing their hearts out, can be horrible. They can go in and destroy the eggs, and then they can put their beaks through the skulls of the developing chickadee babies.
my gosh.
Gross.
Oh.
Yeah, I did not find a video of that, but
Thank God. That's
I,
terrible.
I got quite enamored with the idea
Oh, wow.
of that.
I remember our house wren episode just talking about how fierce they are, just for being little guys, that they'll dominate other birds. That's horrible if they'll do that to the black-capped chickadee.
I know.
Chickadees are so sweet.
Yeah.
And the other thing that is, and this is the advantage of having these long-term studies that include genomics and stuff like that. So the female, if she's going to get a mate outside of her social mate, it's almost always, when she changes mates like that, going to be a male that was of a higher social dominance status from the year before. So constantly searching for a better set of genes for their offspring, which I also find really interesting, because there's dominance hierarchies that happen when they flock, but in the wintertime. So age and I don't even know what else goes into making these dominance hierarchies.
But one thing I would say about it is just watching chickadees over time, you don't see a lot of, or at least I don't think of chickadees as squabbling a lot. They come in and they're just, particularly in the winter, like when we do Christmas counts up in Wisconsin, I mean, they come through and a lot of times we'll be out whistling eastern screech owl to try to get them to come in and check things out. And what I'd say is, like, they don't seem overly aggressive towards one another in a way that comes out of like this. But it's clear that the research shows that there are these definite hierarchies in these flocks.
And
I guess the little ones behave well. They don't try to get out of line.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
And will they float from, like, I saw they'll go from one group to another and have like different rankings within the dominance hierarchies. So
I don't know. That must be the case.
Yeah.
Because they've been so well studied. They're banded populations, so you can know which individual is what they're doing.
I thought that was
so
kind of
cute.
funny. They could be with one group where they're like towards the top and then go hang out with their other friends and they're at the bottom. Have some more titty there.
Right. Yeah, right. And it's a lot of flexibility and which could get you nowhere over time or work out really well.
It might take some pressure off you to go hang out with one where you're towards the bottom.
Yeah.
Don't have to
See how the other half lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but their call with the chick-a-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. So the more that they say, or the longer it is with more D's, the more distress they're in, or the more threat that there is. Is that right?
I don't know if I think it's thought of as a warning behavior. So they're not
okay.
scared when they're doing it. It's kind of the dominance hierarchy playing a role with the dominant males telling people, telling the other birds, there was just a predator here or whatever.
And then
That's how I would look at it, but I don't know
Okay.
if I obviously don't know
Oh.
for real.
Well, and that I heard that, so they know, like, based on what bird it is, how much of a threat it could be. So if there's like a bird that's like an owl that's like a bigger threat, then it would like a longer chick-a-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. But if it's
To tell the other chickadees it's gone.
okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, till it's gone. Okay.
Kind of
That's
like an
amazing.
all clear sign, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
See, there's all kinds of context, though. There's other work on birds called drongos that are mixed species flock birds, and the research has suggested that there'll be birds that'll actually make calls just to scare everybody off so they can get food. So it's like false alarms.
Oh,
That's
And you
hilarious.
start realizing, like, are there chickadees out there that are trying to game these systems somehow? And
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
they are
The
really
boy
smart.
who cried
yeah.
wolf.
Yeah, it is like that reminds me. I think since the last time we saw you two, maybe it was the last week, early in the week, we were watching a movie just at home, and we heard outside. It was getting dark, and we heard just a bunch of birds going crazy, and it was actually like where it was you couldn't really hear the movie. It was so distracting. So we went outside to see what was going on, and I thought maybe it was a cat or I don't know, a raccoon or something, and we think it was, I'm not sure if it was like a robin or RJ, what kind of birds do you think it was?
Well, it was. I think it was robins. I think it was almost all
Robins,
robins, but there
okay.
was a screech owl that was in the tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we saw it like just in our, just across like our neighbor's fence. But we didn't know if it was like maybe a juvenile or something, because it was, well, I don't know. The robins were harassing the screech owl for sure. And they were kind of like dive bombing it. And then the screech owl eventually left. But we couldn't tell. I mean, how big are screech owls? It looked pretty
Tiny.
small. Okay, this was tiny.
This looked really
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm always amazed at how small screech owls are when you see one up close.
And a lot of their food are things like mice and even insects.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I'm almost curious as to. I mean, I'm sure if they found like a chickadee or something that they thought they could go after, they would. There's some other species across their range. So in the western U.S., there are these birds, northern pygmy owls, and they're definitely a bird that would eat a lot of chickadees.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So
Okay.
they're looking for birds, and certainly in like British Columbia, if I do an imitation of northern pygmy owl, I can get the red-breasted nuthatches and black-capped chickadees to come in. Now with robins, I'm wondering sometimes whether they were more upset because it's nesting season and they're starting to build their nests and set up their
Oh.
territories, and maybe they're concerned that I wonder whether a screech owl, if they found a robin nest and it wasn't it didn't have a bird on it, they would come in and take the chicks if they could.
Maybe that was it. Yeah. It was crazy. It was really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
And
one of
then
those things. It was like dark out. We had our binoculars. We're like standing close to our neighbor's yard. It's like the neighbors are probably looking at us like, what the heck are they doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And then we went in and read like how to identify a screech owl, and I think in eBird it was like if you see a bunch of like small birds or songbirds like mobbing some other bird, it's likely a screech owl or something. And
Yeah.
we're like, that's exactly what just happened.
There you go.
If I'm out birding and I hear a bunch of calls like that, chickadee calls, or, it's worth tracking down those birds just to see whether you can figure out if there is something they're upset about, what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just say it was so cool. It was
Yeah.
so cool.
Northern saw-whet owl is another one that you're almost as likely to find them as the result of the birds finding them first.
Oh,
Okay.
Nice. Could that be around here? That kind of bird?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder.
So they're migratory. So they
Okay.
come through in the spring and fall, and breed further north and winter further south. Screech owls are permanent residents.
Okay. We'll have to check out that other owl too and see.
Yeah.
I read a statement that I'm going to assume is true, but I don't know why, that over the last 20 years, the number of bill deformities has skyrocketed.
Oh.
They were talking about that. That's I think a geographic thing up in Alaska.
Wait, what is that?
Bill
They have a whole bunch of
deformities?
bill deformities.
Oh. In
but
chickadees?
Yeah.
Oh.
That it's increased dramatically over the last 20 years. And again, we would know this because people have spent so much time looking at these birds for the last 50 years. But I don't know exactly why that is.
I don't think it's known, and it's curious to think about those kinds of things, because on the one hand, it sounds like it's just not good for chickadees. I don't know, from an evolutionary standpoint, I always wonder, it's like maybe that's how we've created some of the super bizarre species, for instance, in the Hawaiian honey creepers, where you go from something that was presumably a seed-eating bill to something that's long and curved, or
Only
more
if there's a genetic basis for
for sure.
the morphological weirdness, John. Otherwise,
Right.
it has no evolutionary significance, but it certainly might have populations significance. If the birds can't feed or breed properly, their populations could decline.
Did they do genealogy in this case on the deformities?
I didn't read anything more about it. And I didn't have time to see if I could dig deeper. That was not going to be a simple Google search. That requires
Right.
going into literature that uses all kinds of words I don't know and have to look up.
I hear you.
Yeah, no kidding. When you go to other fields, you're like, what the heck? Are they even speaking English?
So hear you. Yes.
But I think it's so interesting, because I think those kinds of events allow you to think about things in a different way. And so once researchers do go in and try to figure out what's going on, some of the answers, may be really interesting.
Yeah.
And certainly with things like house finches, we know a lot more than we used to about the facial deformities that are happening from getting certain kinds of diseases. And that became more prevalent and enough that people started studying it for real. So I always have to do my words.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because this one made me actually chuckle because it's really interesting. So the genus is Poseel. Is that how you say it, John?
Yeah, good. That's one of those ones that showed up, and I was like, how do you say that?
Yeah.
Posele?
Well, it's ancient Greek and it means colorful, which made me go, and then the species name Atricapelus is Latin for black-haired or black-headed in this case. So, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yes.
But I guess some other, I don't know where
the colorful.
I don't know who decided the colorful word. Someone who'd only seen
Someone
all of Flycatcher or
colorblind.
something like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Something that was just one color. Yeah.
So, it is interesting that in North America, we tend to think about members of the Paridae as being these chickadee-like things that are black and white, and then there's also the titmice, which are gray and black, and so they're not very colorful. But if you get into the Old World, one of the most studied birds in the world is a bird called blue tit, which is a member of the Paridae and looks like a chickadee and is a really beautiful blue and kind of yellow bird.
Oh, cool.
But it didn't get that generic epithet.
No.
The generic epithet went towards the gray, black, and white ones that sometimes, for me, a lot of color is kind of the little rufous sides that you can get. But that's not much color.
My prediction is that there's some old Latin and taxonomic history there that led that to be the case. Because you're right, that the genus is certainly describing a bunch of black and white birds.
Interesting.
So I want to raise a scientist who's done some of the most interesting recent work, and his group, and it's Scott Taylor, who's a professor at the University of Colorado Boulder, and he has a Boulder chickadee study, and they have had some of the most detailed and elegant studies that have come out on, and really important for climate change and understanding what might happen to birds. But they are looking at the hybrid zone between black-capped and mountain chickadees.
Oh, cool.
And really interesting that the hybrid zone is moving north, but it's not getting wider. So they looked at what happens when the birds are together, because humans are altering the habitat enough that the birds are coming into more contact with each other, the two parental species. And it turns out, that the black-capped seem dominant, like seriously behaviorally dominant over mountain chickadees. But when they're together, the mountain chickadee sings differently from the way it sings when it's by itself. So it's bring up some really fascinating concepts about reproductive compatibility and isolation and where those might be. And so they looked at the genomics of these birds in the hybrid zone and looked for genomic regions that are anomalous, have anomalously high number, or in this case, low number of variants between the two species. And it turns out that there's significant regions of the genome where they don't mix. And I guess that tells you something about which genes might be responsible for the genetic incompatibility between these birds. So it turns out that that genomes associated with metabolism are in that region that is really strongly different. So normally when eggs and sperm, and then you get cell division, you get crossing over events, and you get bits of one chromosome kind of breaking off, going into the other chromosome, back and forth, things like that. But that's called recombination. When that doesn't happen, that's what's happening in these regions between these two chickadees. There's no recombination, or very little, between the pieces of DNA in these gene regions. So these gene regions clearly tell you something about what's going on. And it turns out it might be metabolic, because the hybrids have a higher metabolic rate than the parentals, and it means they're not as fit. So
They're just stressed.
yeah.
So it's interesting. So black-capped chickadee. So that's in the mountains, in the Rocky Mountains, where mountain chickadee replaces black-capped chickadee. But at the southern limit of black-capped chickadee range is another hybrid zone with a bird called Carolina chickadee. And those birds are so similar that you can't even tell them apart in the hand sometimes. They have some
But they're
minor...
not each other's. They're not
Right.
each other's closest relatives.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so now, given what you're saying about Scott's work with the mountain and blackcaps, I'm wondering what we know about Carolina and blackcapped. Because in the case of Carolina chickadee and black-capped chickadee, the hybrid zone is gradually moving north. And
that's
it's
what the mountain chickadees are doing. That's the hybrid zone there is moving north too.
But Carolina is dominant to black-capped in that situation.
Oh,
The males,
interesting.
which so
Yeah, it turns out the hybrids have poor spatial awareness as well. So they're not going to do. First off, they're stressed, so they're not going to handle the cold temperatures nearly as well. And they don't remember where they put things. You know what happens to you when you get stressed. I'll know what happens to John. I want to put a tracker on everything he owns.
Me too.
so that we can find it. But
I'm the same. Yeah. So
we come from a hybrid zone.
Yeah, exactly. So the brain stuff we were talking about with the black-capped chickadee, is that the same, like the hippocampal expansion? Is that the same with the mountain and the Carolina as well?
So I think actually,
it turns out that the whole.
Are you sure? Do they know that?
Yeah, I think the whole. Well, at least the genus it does this caching behavior. So the ones that do this caching behavior have, and I think all of the ones in that side of the family have caching behaviors. And caching behavior is associated with larger hippocampus.
But I'm always, Amanda, it's a really good question because it's not easy research to try to do this and demonstrate it. And so it won't surprise me that nobody has had the opportunity to do the same level of research that they did in the black-caps with Mountain and Carolina, for instance.
Okay.
And it would be interesting. And I wonder, part of me wonders, so Carolina's chickadee is southeastern U.S., so it's much warmer temperatures and things. And so maybe it's not as good a cacher, actually.
It doesn't need to be. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, certainly within black-caps, the colder it is, the bigger your hippocampus is.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that would lead you to think that might actually be the case.
That's awesome.
Chickadees are also the state bird of Maine and Massachusetts, and I wish we had chickadee or something else. No offense, Cardinal.
Sorry, Cardinal.
And it's also the provincial bird of New Brunswick. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But it's not a mascot for any football teams or basketball teams that I know of. Fighting chickadees.
Yeah. Do you think it should be?
I do.
Yeah.
They probably never win anything, but they bug the heck out of people doing it.
Hey, they would win every game of concentration.
Yeah.
It just depends on what sport or game you're talking about, John.
If it was chess or something.
Yeah.
or memory.
Anyways, I just wanted to highlight Scott Taylor's research because I think it's really, really excellent. And he's a great guy. So if anybody who wants to go to graduate school is listening to us, look him up.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Well, I think we're getting kind of close on time. Is there anything else on the black-capped chickadee we want to touch on? Or we do have a mailbag question too.
Oh, I want to touch on one thing about black-capped chickadees because it relates to John. And that is black-capped chickadees are one of the birds that you hear less and less the older you get because of the high-pitched nature of their sound.
Oh.
So the older you get, the harder it is to hear chickadees. So get your hearing checked.
Oh.
Get hearing aids. And you'll hear warblers and chickadees that you might not have heard in years or even decades.
Oh, that's very cool.
Do not be proud about that.
Yeah.
Definitely true.
Yeah. That's so interesting. In my work, you read more and more how much hearing loss is related to dementia. So it has such a cascade effect if you take care of your hearing. It's such a good thing to do.
Yeah, I'm attending a session from the New York Hard of Hearing Association on the 20th of May, where they're talking about that, Amanda, the problems with dementia and brain disease. And there's a whole bunch of other things that have come out. The number of falls very highly correlated with hearing loss, because you lose the spatial ability to tell where your body is. And again, it also goes to dementia, which also causes people to fall more. But hearing loss is an underappreciated disability for people, including people whose hearing tests normally. And this is some of the interesting things that are happening with current hearing aids, with an emphasis on the use of artificial intelligence chips to help people separate noise from speech from noise, which is the number one complaint of people who are hard of hearing. It's my complaint. I can organize meetings and I can't hear a single thing that happens at them. If there's any din at all, it just all goes away. So I sit there with a smile on my face, not knowing anything anybody is saying. But these chips, these new hearing aids, have a chip that is specially designed. It's trained on millions and millions and millions of sound environments where it has learned what noise is, and it learns what speech is. And it downplays the noise and upplays the speech and clarifies it. Wow. And that is true even if people who have normal hearing. If you took a hearing test, you can be normal. They have trouble in social situations, this hearing and noise thing, where their word recognition plummets. My word recognition plummets to basically zero. If you don't give me contextual clues, or I can't see your face, I can't understand. My brain cannot interpret a single word that's being said around me, and that's with one good ear. So that's how much of a confusion it causes in your brain. But for people who even have normal hearing aids, these special hearing aids that are now trained with artificial intelligence can help them distinguish words. And it ups by 40% the word recognition of people who have that problem.
Wow.
So
awesome.
hearing is more complex than just the normal hearing test would indicate.
And I'll also point out that I don't know whether chickadees have this capacity, but birds can actually regenerate the hair cells in their ears, and so you have to wonder whether there aren't some really interesting. You can imagine if you're a chickadee and you can't hear anymore, you're in bad shape, and so there's a lot of selection pressure to evolve the capacity to do things like that, which
and
would
how
be really
birds
interesting.
how birds do that is fascinating too. So there's some research. I last week I went to another symposium from a researcher at Stanford. Stanford has this really important hearing research group, and they're looking at just that, trying to understand exactly how using chickens as a model, using how they actually physically make their hair cells regrow, and then why we don't as mammals, and maybe it's possible to turn it back on inside of humans eventually. But they've had a few candidate genes, and they tried a couple things, and of course, the reductionist nature.
That's how it starts.
The reductionist nature of
somewhere.
biology almost always leads to failure because systems are more complex, and they're not working with people like us as evolutionary biologists who think of complexity like that. So, some of the trials have been stopped, but the research continues, and there's a lot of really interesting research that's being done on regrowing, trying to regrow hair cells. So.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is.
Very cool.
Yeah, so get your hearing checked. Chickadees should make you get your hearing checked.
I like that it's like a quantifiable thing. If you can't hear a chickadee, I feel like a lot of people have hearing loss that's gradual over time, and it's like, I don't know, people they doubt it. They said, oh no, I can hear fine. But if you can't hear a chickadee, there's one thing you can point to.
Yeah, it's like a benchmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have
but
a
if you-
good audiologist,
Well, if you're up by yourself, you're not going to notice it.
That's right. You need someone to point
you
it
need,
out.
You
Yeah.
need somebody
Yeah.
else. And that's
Yeah.
Well, luckily they're easy to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chickadees.
Yeah.
yeah. chickadee score for hearing loss prevention.
That's
Yes.
awesome. That's awesome.
A chickadee will help you save yourself from dementia.
There you go.
I mean, that's a big worry. I'm absolutely terrified of that with my hearing loss. The issues that go to dementia. It's for the most part why I wear hearing aids to put whatever sound I can put in on that side of my brain into my brain so that it lessens the issues with hearing loss.
Yes. So awesome.
Anyways,
That's
if you
so
get
important.
a good audiologist, they can tune your hearing aids to restore that high frequency loss that you age out of. Yeah. And the hearing specialists are also trying to not have that be an age related hearing loss, like that there are treatments that can happen before you lose your hearing
Oh, wow.
Wow.
so that you
I just shouldn't have
maintain
gone to rock
those
concerts.
frequencies. Well,
Yeah, that's one thing you can do.
you should have grown up in a tiny town where no rock band came, where there was only one radio station that played the news in Italian 5 times a day
That's hilarious.
and had a swap meet and things like that. Let's just say there was not a whole lot of rock music pouring out of the speakers in the car when I was growing up.
I'll never forget when last summer when all the cicadas were out and I was telling you about how I would come inside after hearing it all and like my hearing would be like the absence of that noise would like mess with my head. And Shannon, you were like, that's hearing loss happening.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
crazy
da-
to think that
yeah.
there's like things in the natural world too that will hurt your hearing. It's not just lawnmowers and rock concerts and
Right.
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Anything that does that, is damaging your hearing.
Mm.
Wow.
And eventually you damage it enough, it becomes permanent
Yeah. Deficit.
hearing loss.
Ugh.
So anyways, get your hearing checked.
What's in the mailbag?
Okay. So this is Matt emailed us and he said, have any of you read Ellen Malloy? All the talk of deserts on the Gamble's Quail episode makes me think you'd appreciate her work. She was an author and environmentalist living in Utah until her sudden death in 2004. I spent the last year savoring her work. Never have I connected to a writer so strongly. Her intimate knowledge of the desert landscape, familiarity with wildlife, and cutting prose makes every book a portal into those environs. As somebody who has never been to the desert, I wonder if you'd have any additional insight or connection to her. Last week I finished Raven's Exile, completing all of her published works, and almost feel grief. She's so special. So I had not heard of her, but
I had not either, and I have a long association with deserts.
Oh yeah.
But I'm going to look her up, and what they've in her honor, they've created a foundation that gives out support to writers working on desert-related themes, which
cool.
is absolutely near and dear to my heart. I mean, I it's a great part of the world, and so I'm looking forward to looking at some of those books that she wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'd never heard of her either. And it's that's not surprising for me because I'm not as well read as John is. John is, his whole family, they're extremely well read, but she was only 58 when she died.
Oh yeah.
So young.
When I was looking her up, saw this quote that I wrote down, and it says, in the desert there is everything and there is nothing. Stay curious. Know where you are, your biological address. Get to know your neighbors, plants, creatures, who lives there, who died there, who is blessed, cursed, and what is absent, or in danger, or in need of your help. Pay attention to the weather, to what breaks your heart, to what lifts your heart. Write it down. I thought that was really profound.
So
I like
good.
that.
Yeah. So good.
John, I know you are so familiar with the desert, but Amanda and I took that trip to Sedona last month or whenever that was, and I don't know, I feel like there is a connection to your surroundings when you're out there that is kind of hard to define or put your finger on, and I don't know. I definitely want to check out this author now.
Me
I
too.
mean, I think for me, moving, spending my entire childhood in the desert and then going other places, the simplicity of the desert makes it kind of easy to see things, I guess. And, from my perspective, I mean, I get just as much a kick out of trying to figure out what's going on and along the Chicago River and things like, that. But I think it, certainly my curiosity was piqued by trying not to sit on cholla cactus and things like that as a kid. And so I don't know. It's a great sentiment. And there's no doubt that those desert areas really just inspire people in a lot of ways.
I mean, do you feel like, I feel like that was the case for Barbara Kingsolver too, John? That the desert really made her think about the world in a different way. So I'm glad to learn about her. So I just looked her up, and she has a degree in art, and then she went to the University of Montana and has a master's degree in environmental studies.
That's one of the better environmental studies programs in the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of people gravitate up to Montana for that.
Wow.
So people always ask, why would you get an education? Education should be about jobs, which, I mean, that's kind of true, but the reality is that you don't know what kind of job you're going to get and what you're really going to be interested in. And it's education that helps you understand that. So I bet you if you asked her when she was little, if she probably knew she had an interest in art, but if you'd asked her about kind of the environmental aspect of her writing, I have a feeling that came organically from the interest in the natural world and getting a degree in that combined with her art. Anyways, I think it's really cool. No education is ever bad.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt, for pointing that out. Yeah, we're excited to check her out, and it was fun to talk about her.
Yeah.
So anyone want to close it out on this one? The Black-capped Chickadee?
Well, I'm just trying to think about how to grow my hippocampus and make myself remember a few more things. It's not working yet.
We could do that. Yeah. I wish we could do that too.
I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of memories. Do the other part where
I know. Both sound great.
When I tripped and fell in front of my class in first grade, or
lot of opportunities for new things.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening, and we love you all and see you all next week. Thanks.